Hi, it's Paul from Model Builder International. First thing, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down there if you want to get notified of every email as it comes out. There's usually an email a week or so. And what we're going to talk about today is, this is Nuts and Bolts Volume 39. This one, as you can see, is on the SDKF Z6. Okay, so let's have a look inside. As I said, this is Nuts and Bolts Volume 39. This is on the SDKF Z6, which is the 5-ton half-track, and it covers basically all the different variants. So, starting off, sort of with a kit there that's been built, obituary for John Rue, who recently died. And going through, we've got the table of contents, which goes through all different versions. And there's the initial ideas for this. This is a Citroen vehicle. So it goes through the introduction, the development, starting with the SDKF Z6 there was actually several different types of this, and they came in different sizes, starting off with like a version 4. Is probably the best way to describe that, and then it sort of goes through all ending up with version 9, and there's lots of differences, well, lots of size differences between versions, apart from I think it's 5 and 7 are virtually indistinguishable. So anyway, I'll go through, start off with the development, where it all came from, the requirements, production, numbers. Here's a way to tell the difference between the different versions. I said 5 and 7. They're together. Basically, the only difference is you'd have to crawl underneath, look at the engine, lift things to actually be able to tell the difference between them. So go through those. Difference between a version 9 on the left, version 8. Production, used by foreign forces. Different technical description on the chassis, running gear, axles, the wheels that were used in the different versions, and also there's different factories sometimes use different wheels as well. Here's the different lengths of them. You can see the version 3 is version 9 is longer than version 5. And then coming out through the body. Basically, the SDKF Z6 itself, there was 2 key versions. One's an engineer vehicle, and one's an artillery tractor. The engineer vehicle has an extra row of seats at the back. The artillery tractor has storage at the back. And that's what the difference between the SDKF Z6 and the SDKF Z6-1. Then there's also the 6-2, which had a 37mm anti-aircraft gun on the back. And then there was a version called Diana, which was used in North Africa, very few of them converted, with a Russian 76.2mm anti-tank gun on the back. And there's a few test vehicles as well. And there was even a modified vehicle used in the launch of V2 rockets. So, we'll go through. And there's also some field modifications. And there's a rare photograph, SDKF Z6 with the same kind of body as you'd see on an SDKF Z251. So in service, in use with the engineers, basically going through the organisation, but the engineers, those used to be dragging around basically bridging material. They always had a trailer with bridging material on them, different types of bridges. Anti-aircraft guns. Obviously these were deployed to different units. List here of models of the SDKF Z6. Realistically, I'm on 35th scale, looking at Bronco and Trumpeter. And there's a detailed description here of the differences between the two models, a bit like build reviews. Bibliography, 18 different source materials we used. And there's the prototype of the SDKZ6. And it's a lot smaller. It seems a lot smaller than the later versions. So we go through the black and white photographs, starting off with version 4, versions 5 and 7. As I put those together because externally you can't tell the difference between them. There's lots of black and white photographs. The captions are always really good. You can see the engineer version with carrying bridges around and boats, artillery pieces. There's a ton of black and white reference photographs here. And these vehicles weren't in production and all through the war, but they were used right up to the end of the war. Here's version 8. And again, lots of good photographs with the captions are really good, lots of details. There's a view underneath the first row of passenger seats. There's storage underneath there. Let's see, lots of photographs. Version 9, just the last version. And they're dragging 2 trailers. Now onto the 6-2 with a 37mm anti-aircraft gun. And there was an early and a late version of this. Basically, see here, this one, there's no protection for the crew at all. But later on, basically gun shields were added. You can see those were used both by army units and Luftwaffe units. And here's the couple of basically prototypes that went no further, still based on a SDKZ6 chassis. A couple of these actually made it to North Africa and one was captured. There's the one that looked like that was used for on V2 launches. Basically, it's not. Basically, that shield is just to protect people inside from just shrapnel. Basically, it's not sort of designed for sort of protecting against shells. And then there's some of the different versions. This one's got a different engine inside it. A snowplow. This one's got a snowblower on the front. There's another Diana 6-3, the Diana vehicles. A few of these were used in North Africa. And some based on this destroyed one, basically it's pretty sort of simple really. They've built a platform and they've put the 76.2 millimeter Russian gun basically in there as is, wheels and all. And with these, we get into building engines, what the engines look like and the wiring and pipework that goes on them. I go on to the engineering trailers, onto the 1/35th scale drawings. And these make it abundantly clear the differences between the early version there, number 4, with basically 4 wheels at the back, 1 driving wheel, an idle at the back and 3 in the middle. And as you can see, the number of wheels is slowly increasing. This one's got 6 wheels in the middle there. There's lots of good information on these. And there's the 6-3 version. And some of the prototypes. The V2 version. Now onto the colour plates. What they've done here is if S32, if you go to page 32, you'll see this image. And basically somebody's converted it into a colour plate with contemporary colours. And also contemporary camouflage. That's a pre-war Reichswehr camouflage. and that's a grey brown of early war years. So going through these, all these different versions are in here. Signs, insignia you'll find on the vehicles. Then we get to basically preserved vehicles, taking photographs of parts in places that weren't sort of normally covered in the black and white ones. So they go through those, and there's close-ups of all sorts of things in these. These are a sort of gold mine for fine detailing any kits you might have. There's a storage at the back. There's lots and lots of colour photographs showing you lots and lots of close-up detail. There's another one from Poland, and another one. This one's from Fort Benning in the USA. So that's all of those. Basically, if you want to know something about the vehicle, it's in here somewhere. Here's the recovery of a Type 9 from Poland, and looking at the state of it when it was pulled out. It's being rebuilt, and this is what it looks like at the end. This is a pretty neat restoration. Then some pictures of some model builds. You can see here the artillery version has storage at the back, and then a flak 36 on that one. More details. And there we have it, 224 pages. Pretty much anything you might need to know about the SDKF Z6 is in here somewhere. You're probably never going to need another reference. So, many thanks to Nuts and Bolts for sending it along for us to have a look at.